Okay. Welcome to today's episode. We have a very exciting guest on today, Andrew Shortt, founder, patent holder, and creative director behind the Monday Ideas Company and the upcoming company Convos, a go-to news platform for young adults. So, Andrew, thank you so much for tuning in. We're excited to have you.
Well, it's great to be here.
Of course, super
Great to be
excited.
very,
So,
very, very nice morning. Excited to get on and talk with you about where we're going, about what the Monday Idea Company is, what it stands for, how we're different in the market from pretty much every ad agency in the world, and then also about Convos,
mhm.
our upcoming platform, short form mobile video platform that will become the go-to news platform for young adults.
Love that. Thank you so much for that background. And I'm super excited to get into it, super excited to have the conversation today. And just once again, for our audience members, for anyone who's just tuning in for the first time, we are Stravix, a company that helps founders, creators, and tech-driven companies scale revenue and operate using AI and automation. So if you want to learn how to take your business to the next level, make sure to stick around. And if you're interested in our free growth consultation, just drop the word growth in the comments or DMs down below. So Andrew, super excited once again for you to join us. Why don't you just give us a little bit of background and, how you got to where you are today?
Well, first the dinosaurs died, and then people came. Eventually, they came across the pond to Canada, and I was born. I started off in advertising as a copywriter, then a creative director. I always had a viewpoint that you couldn't get away from the fact that technology. I mean, from the when I went into advertising in the late '90s, and through the early 2000s, that technology was radically changing how people consume media, and then forward, into creating its own media and social media and things like that. And so from the very beginning of my career, I was kind of known for doing work that involved technology quite a bit, being very tech forward in my advertising career. And so then after doing that, and after being, a creative director, chief creative officer, having a couple agencies, several years ago, I formed a consultancy called Radical Quo. And the idea was we're going to fight against the status quo, and we'll do that, in various different ways. But the thought at the time, it was like 2018, 2017. The thought at the time was that marketers, and they still are, were struggling to figure out how best to use technology, social media, and all things that are happening effectively to create larger experiences for consumers. So I started going more that direction. Now, as part of that, I was talking to one of Canada's largest broadcast companies. And they own about 120 TV stations and a whole bunch of radio stations and things like that. So I was talking to the director of marketing, and he was saying to me, he said, we're really, in terms of the younger audience, we know they're on mobile, but we're really far behind. What could we do to engage them in this? Could you come up with a couple ideas? And that was just before Christmas break. So over the Christmas, I was, writing in my journal in the morning, and I came up with an idea that, hey, you know what? You got 120 channels. Most TV shows, if you take out dramas and sitcoms, most other TV shows are shot in little minute to 2 minute segments. So I said, well, you could take those segments, you can make them searchable, you can make them shareable. In some cases, you can make them shoppable. You could put them on a platform, on a mobile platform, and allow people, as they go through their day, to have little quick snippets. And that's where the origin of Snibble was really going to come from. It was actually going to be done for a client when I was in consulting and advertising. Over the Christmas break, the company gets bought. So we get back for the Christmas break, and the director of marketing calls me and he says, "Hey man, I'm really sorry, but we've been bought. And so all outside projects are on hold until the merger goes through." And it was, and he's like a year. And I'd already told him over the Christmas break this idea. And he goes, "I know it's super cool and I'd love to pursue that, but we can't." Later that day, I was having lunch with a friend of mine, kind of a guru marketer here in Canada named Tony Chapman. And I mentioned this to Tony, and Tony said, "Well, geez, you dodged a bullet there." He said, "Why wouldn't you go out and get some funding for that and actually make your own platform that's not beholden to one broadcaster, but all broadcasters?" And then I started thinking about it, and I said, well, then we could go to movie studios, and we could go, to music labels. We could go everywhere, right? And yeah, that sounds like a great idea. So we started doing that. I started putting it together. About a year later, I got our first investor, and we developed Snibble, which was the first short form premium video platform. So it was kind of like YouTube, but with no user generated, no fake stuff. No, it was all just the top news, entertainment, sports, music, fashion, all that kind of stuff. And super search, very easy to find stuff and very easy to share and have, have conversations and stuff like that. That did really well. We actually, started getting KPIs as we launched a couple years later, and we brought in all, the content partners and stuff. We actually started getting KPIs that were matching Instagram and Snapchat. Now you're talking multi-billion dollar companies, and we were matching them with something that had, like, at that time, maybe $2 million invested into it. And our user acquisition was less than half of the average. So we were doing really quite well. The problem that we had is, even though the platform was doing really well, investors didn't see us as, in terms of global scale up and something they wanted to put money into, as being different enough from YouTube. So that always became, well, can't I see that stuff on YouTube? I said, no, we're presenting it in a different way, better, and blah, blah. Anyway, so I started looking at the effects of misinformation on society. And I said, this needs to be addressed. And we are actually already very strong in news and what we do. And we have all the best news and it's curated. So we're pivoting over to being the go-to news platform for young adults, who 90% of whom look for news items every day on online and social media, who have very low trust for what they see in their social media, on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook. They have very, very low trust levels for it. And so there seems to be an opportunity for a trusted, credible news platform that treats news as young adults do. So it's not just politics and war and famine and stuff, but the latest album release and all that. So it's news, entertainment, sports, fashion. If it's happening right now today, we'll tell you about it. And the great thing is, unlike other platforms like YouTube, whatever, you don't have to know and then go on and search. We'll tell you what's happening right now, and we'll send it right to you on your phone. And boom, this is happening. And if you have a couple friends on the platform, we'll even tell you what you and your friends have co-interests in, so that you can start conversations together and things like that. So, and then we've got some other really cool AI empowered social features and curation. So that's where we are on that. Seeing all that, I've always had a bit of a longing, and I would write some ads for Snibble and Combos. Seeing all that, I started looking at advertising, and I've been, I'm on LinkedIn, and I have a whole bunch of, friends that are creative directors, and I see what they do. And, it really rang on me. And this was a good idea. I'm not saying it's not. When I saw an agency, tout a major thing, major global recognition for taking a label on a Heinz bottle and moving it so that when you poured it, it looked straight up. So you saw the label. You only saw the label properly when you were pouring and waiting for the. Now it looks ridiculous on a shelf, which is actually where people make their purchase decision. But whatever, it looks cool on a on a video for awards and and things like that. And I started looking at that, and I started saying, this is what's wrong with advertising today. And that was, by the way, a really good idea by a super smart agency that does great work. But here's the problem with advertising today. There's a whole bunch of people with little experience that create little ideas, that get a little bit of notice, a little bit of notice on little screens and a little bit of talk value for a little bit of time. Everything's little. The thinking is little. And I said, you know what? I put together an internationally curated group of people, and I'm talking like massive, huge executive creative directors, guys that have won Con Grand Prix, guys that have won, D&AD pencils and everything you could, even Emmys. I mean, like this cream of the crop, and that all have over 20 years experience. And then the thought is, like, nobody thinks big anymore. Let's create a place where people think big. That's like where the bar isn't a cool video for the judging panel. The bar is game changing. That's our creative bar. What's our creative bar? Game changing. We game change for the clients that we do. So that's what we're doing on that. And we want to get back to a place in advertising where people weren't afraid to think huge, to reimagine companies. I want to show marketers things in their companies that they forgot and that they haven't seen in a while, or that they just haven't seen at all, and create big, huge, beautiful ideas that unify everything that they do, from product to advertising to social to digital, to retail, to in-store, to internal communications. Massive ideas that bring all of this stuff together in a way that inspires people from inside and outside to get involved with the brand. Sorry that couldn't have been quicker, but that's the deal.
Yeah, no, that was a great rundown. It was, lovely hearing about that and, super excited for the upcoming goals and such with your company as well. That was going to be my next question. In the next 6 to 12 months, you guys have some upcoming stuff. Is there anything that you're extra excited about? I know you mentioned some things, but is there anything that, that's really just sticking out to you? And then also,
Yeah.
with these goals that you guys have, is there anything that's hasn't been working for you? Has there been any obstacles going on at the moment?
So when I look at the Convo side, my entrepreneurial side, what hasn't been working is we have a crap economy here in Canada. I mean, absolute shite. And so, in a country like Canada where people like to invest in mining and minerals and oil and gas and things like that, regulated stuff. Media tech is a hard sell at the best of times. At the worst of times, it's a complete bitch. So what we're doing, what the plan there is we're doing an interim raise, and then we'll probably be moving that company to the US, where media and media tech is much more prevalent, is much more, much more respected, and where people see the opportunities of things that change a market. So Convos will be a generational investment. It'd be an absolute game changer in the mobile video world, in the social world, where every other platform is making money off of misinformation because things that go around wherever they have no interest in the truth, no interest in good news, things like that, no interest in and where they put stuff together for their interest, not their audience's interest. We're coming in with a platform that is intuitive, it's easy, it gives people what they want, the way they want it, the format they want. It makes it shareable. It makes it fun. It mixes in. You can have the top news stories of the day. One of them could be climate change. Another one could be, Justin Bieber comes out with a new single. Another one could be a new Chanel bag. I mean, so we're using that to personalize for because every person has a different world, a different viewpoint of the world. So the top 10 most important things happening right now in this world for you are obviously going to be different than for me, right?
Yeah.
So our platform recognizes that and gives me the top 10 things in the world that are most important to me. And then it'll give you the top 10 things that are most important to you.
Yeah.
And it'll give you some stuff that you maybe should think is important.
Mm.
Because unlike every other platform that tries to use algorithms to drive you down a rabbit hole, we're going to be actually expanding what your interests are.
Yeah.
Super excited for that. Super
Yeah.
excited to raise the money. Super excited to get that down into the States. Super excited to get that launched. The last platform that we had 700,000 downloads in like 3 months.
Wow.
So we will get even more success with this. It's targeted. It's 180 degrees from anything in the marketplace. It's
Wow.
completely needed.
Yeah.
And so I think we're going to have a good time with that.
Good.
With the Monday Idea Company, we're limiting ourselves to just 5 clients. So we'll be going out. We're still kind of in stealth mode as we get our website and some other things done over the next month or so, and some new people who will be involved in the project.
Hmm.
And then we'll be going out. We've got some really great people that are friends of ours who can't wait to introduce us to marketers and things that they know. And we'll be going out and we'll say, unlike every agency that just goes out and tries to win every piece of business that they can, we're a group looking for just 5 clients. We're going to limit what we do because
Yeah.
we're going to put all our heart and soul and passion into creating absolute game-changing experiences and bringing those to life for clients. And so the thought is let's not try and spread ourselves too thin.
Yeah. 100%. That sounds super exciting. And kind of, you touched on this a little bit, but I do want to talk about AI and specifically how it's in your firm and how you think
Yeah.
it will overall affect your industry.
So, okay, but combos, I mean, our curation is done with AI. The thing that makes your top 10 things personal to you, and we're using AI to power all so you get like, for example, our old platform, you get like 100,000 new videos a day. You'll start getting, what happens is, at a certain time, you'll get 20 videos about the same thing. Like we had one, like, for example, Drake got it, supposedly he was going out with Camille Cabella. So it's a big thing break, right? All of a sudden there's 15 videos about that. So the AI recognizes that and then, gives us an alert. Hey, there's a whole bunch of videos about this one thing. That means that that thing's a trending thing. It's happening right now. It's a big thing. We can then, within 2 minutes, make not just send you a video from one of these things, we can make a channel where you can have like 20 videos, see it from different perspectives and different parts of the story. And we can send that to you within 2 minutes of this thing, of all this happening. So right off, so in real time, you're being told, you'll get a push notification on your phone. Boom, this is happening right now. Check it out. Here's a channel. Boom, you go in, you see it, share it with your friends, and away you go.
Hmm.
So we're using AI to do that. We're using AI to do, now we've patented a messaging platform, and this is so cool. Like this could be its own platform. Okay. So what we've done is, like when you got a few friends and you're talking about something. Say you're talking about, you look like you might like Chanel. So say you're talking about a new Chanel, okay, collection, right?
Hmm.
And so say you're on WhatsApp and you got like three or four of your friends, and then you want to go, oh, you want to maybe put the video for because you thought, oh, I think there was a fashion show in Paris or in Fashion Week. So then you go off of WhatsApp or whatever, your messenger, then you go onto YouTube or you go maybe onto Fashion Week's website or whatever, then you search for this and then you find it, then you copy the link, right? Then you say, oh, wait, but you check it first. Yep, okay, that's the right one. It's not, somebody doing their own thing or a spoof or whatever. It's the right one. So you copy the link, you close out of that, then you go back to your messaging, you open up your messaging, you go back to your group, you paste it in, you send it to your friends, right? That's how it works. Okay. So now with combos, you're messaging your friends. Hey, you know what? There's some really cool new stuff that Chanel's doing in a new collection. In real time, as soon as you finish typing that, underneath that message, you will be served up the latest videos in the new collection from Chanel right there.
Wow.
So what'll happen is our natural language processing AI in six different ways analyzes what your message is and for content, for context, for syntax, and then goes and finds hyper relevant content for you. You can then, with one tap, add that into with your message in the conversation window, in the chat window. Your friends can then watch it right in the chat window. They can watch that video full screen, the whole bit.
Yeah.
Then they can reply to you. And when they reply to you, if they say, oh, that was really cool, but just check out the new Prada, they'll then get the new videos from the new Prada and they can include that. So all these things happen. And what that does, and this is the best part, what that does is it takes a fairly superficial chat and turns it into a much deeper conversation because now you're not just chatting about stuff, you're sharing. When you share videos, you're sharing ideas and you're sharing what you think and and you're sharing a bit of how you see the world. And so that becomes a deeper, more meaningful engagement between you and your friends.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. That sounds amazing.
So we're using AI to power that. So that's
Yeah.
really cool. On the other side, and I got so we're in the midst of we got that patented.
Hmm.
I think that's the fourth or fifth patent in my name for stuff for that.
Hmm.
And then on the other side, with the Monday Idea Company, from the very start, like we created a logo. Okay. I said, and then I did this. This is interesting. This shows you just how good these people are. We did this over a LinkedIn chat. Okay. We were sending LinkedIn messages. And I said, you know what? I really don't want to do a spaced out Helvetica logo like everybody else does these days. That's everybody does that. And I'm sick
Yeah.
of it. I said, we got to go the opposite. So let's do it. Handwritten, the Monday Idea Company. And as you see on our it's
Mhm.
handwritten. So then I said it'd be really cool. So I said it'd be really cool if we could, somehow make it where everybody is involved. So everybody do a handwriting thing. And the first suggestion is maybe every time you log in or every time you see something, it'll be a different person's handwriting of the thing. And so a few of us talked about it a little bit more, and Cass Suri, who's a brilliant creative director, ex-Wieden Kennedy guy who wrote the Lance Armstrong, in inflating the lungs of an elephant commercial, the Tiger Woods, where he's just, Tiger Woods commercial is like crazy. This guy's like insane talented. Anyway, so he's like, well, we could use AI for this. And I started thinking, yeah, we could. How can we do that? So then we started looking at that and we said, well, everybody writes it. We tested four different AI platforms. We ended up with Google Gemini, and we said, okay, so no platform yet can actually blend them graphically. But what the AI did is it analyzed all six of the handwriting and gave like a 7-page document to our designer on every letter. So we said, okay, so we're going to use for example, my handwriting as the base. And they said, okay, here's a detailed, analysis of every single letter of how you blend all six people's stuff into every letter in terms of this flick or how it's done, and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So we now have a handwritten logo that looks unified, but is actually, made up of the six founders in the company, the six founders' own handwriting, all blended together. Now we couldn't have done that without AI couldn't make that without us.
Yeah.
So it becomes one of those things where we seamlessly take human intuition and human creativity and blend that with the technology and with AI to
Yeah.
make an experience that neither one of us could.
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree. The blend of human and AI, it works, that's the best way. And we say that AI is here to stay, right?
Yeah. I don't think everybody's going to be replaced by AI. I think people
No,
who
yeah.
refuse to learn how to work with AI are going to have a tough time.
Yeah, I agree. That's the best way to put it. So, Andrew, thank you so much for hopping on today. It was a pleasure learning
Yeah.
about you, your company, what goals you have, and talking about AI. So once again, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.